Hey, okay. We are live. Ooh. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody. Hey. We are going live. Let me get something going here. See me a little better. Sorry about this. Woo! Y'all, today has been a day. Okay? Today has been a day. We have so much going on today. From me and Miss BB moving stuff from one house to another house to setting up in our new YouTube location in a different studio to oh my gosh, me going live because she told me to go ahead and start because she was not able to be in here right now. So I'm trying to buy a little time before she gets here. I'm going to go to the Google Hangout and let's see if we got stuff cracking there. Will one of my admins please give me a call to make sure that tonight the whole do not disturb is working early? I'll call myself. Hey, y'all are far too kind. Thank you for showing up early. We usually start a couple of minutes before everything starts, but I just want to see what happens.
Call is not available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Let's try it again real quick. Sorry about this, y'all. I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you. I am by myself this evening. I'm trying to make sure everything's up.
Say your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Okay. I am Mr. Brando. Okay, we got Google working just in case when Miss BB gets here. I'm good. I got it all set up. Are you going to be in here in a few minutes? They're almost done?
They're not done yet.
How much longer?
But you're on the live, right?
I'm on live. Yeah, I'm on live. You want to say hi real quick? Hey, say hi, y'all.
Hey guys, I'll see you shortly. Hopefully in less than 15 minutes.
They're just putting in the bed, right?
They put up the bed, but I don't know what else they got.
That was it. They just told me that was the only thing they had left.
Okay.
All they had left was the bed. Woo! I hate to get started to do this by myself. I told myself when I got into this, I wasn't doing it by myself because this wasn't about me. It was about other people. It was about helping people, doing our own thing. But I'm going to go ahead and get started because it is 7:03 and we are live. And I have so much news to bring today. I want to go ahead and get it rocking. I will let Miss BB do her intro when she gets in here. I, on the other hand, am going to go ahead and get started. So let me find you guys on YouTube. I appreciate everybody coming in early. You guys are way too kind to forgive me tonight. I'm usually not this slow, but I'm by myself, as I've said. So forgive me in getting everything started. Hey, okay, you guys are here. Wow. Okay, Dwayne. Hey, babe. Okay, Dwayne's here. Frank's here. Dixie girl, can't wait. I see you. Hey, babe. Hey, Bessie. Mr. Brando, you two rock. Rock on, you guys. Can't wait. Babe, hey. I'm ready. Frank's ready. Al's ready. Dennis is ready. Mr. Frazier, okay. You guys know who I am. I am Mr. Brando. And humbly, I want to welcome you guys to the reinstatement of the Iraqi Dinar, IQD, and World News. Now, I have a bunch going on, y'all, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run through the news. And the reason why I'm going to run through the news is not because Ms. BB's not here. Everybody knows this show is like, I feel so empty without her. I would tell jokes for like 10 minutes until I knew she could get here. But I know that she would want the show to go on. This is not about her. It's about getting you guys the very best possible input when it's possible and to get you guys the very best intel. And I have people on the line that are standing by waiting to get on here that won't wait, okay? So if you guys notice, you guys don't see the thumbnail, but tonight's thumbnail is the Iraqi flag in the background, and Mr. Pompeo in the forefront. And you guys heard it here first. We told you first that Mr. Pompeo was going to go to Iraq on a mission. Now, little did I know that actually 3 delegates have been to Iraq in the last few days secretly. And I'm going to tie all that in a little bit with John on the intel, but I'm going to run through the news. And when Miss Bibi gets in here, I'm going to have her do her intro. I'll stop everything because she's the queen of the castle. She deserves that respect. So you'll have to forgive me if I lose followers because of it, but she runs the show. I'm just humbly here as a servant not only to you, but to my wife, and I love her dearly. So today's news, and there's a lot of it. Oh my God, you guys, there's so much news. First of all, we already talked about the World Bank president resigning. Isn't it interesting timing that Donald Trump is basically shut down the government in lieu of border security? And who's not about border security? Border security is like the utmost of importance to all of us because it keeps our borders safe. I can't think of another place on earth that does not have safe borders that is a sovereign nation. Usually when you have unsafe borders, it opens you up to all kinds of bad things. And I'm all about border safety. I don't know if it needs to be by barrier, by tougher immigration. That's not my point. My point is that we all deserve to live in a safer, more quiet, more easygoing place that we are allowed to be free and to be safe. But the World Bank president resigned. That paves the way for Mr. Trump to go ahead and input somebody he believes to run the IMF. And remember, I was the first one to tell you guys that a lot of you already knew. The IMF is basically a group that the United States runs. It's not basically, we own it. It's ours. And what it does is it's a system that was put in place years before. We're on the gold system that said, if you don't believe in gold and you don't trust us, invest in this bank and this bank will carry you through and they'll help out. And it didn't seem tied to the United States or tied to the US dollar. But we all know differently. The IMF president resigned, and that paves the way for Mr. Trump to input whomever he chooses to feel free or to give the sanctity of investments around the world, which you guys call the STR baskets, and in charge of other world investments that keep us rolling. Also, the Interior Ministry announced the seizure of oil pipelines in Basra. So in Basra, it looked like on Tuesday after we had our little meeting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about President Trump's speech for 8 minutes. I know a lot of you guys were very interested in that. We were all hoping very high hopes for that. So I'll go over that briefly too if she doesn't come in here. But hey, look, Anna. Okay, well, we'll get to Anna, but right now we're on to the news. And the news, sorry, I had to click over. Y'all, you see what a mess I am without Miss Bibi here? Usually she does all the background stuff and I do it. Okay, oops, sorry. I gotta go back. The seizure of pipelines in Basra. The Interior Ministry announced on Tuesday that a breach was found targeting oil pipelines in the province of Basra. My friend from Basra has been very silent lately. I haven't heard from him. The ministry sent a statement received by Al Mazumria News, a copy of it, that on directives of the Director General of Internal Affairs, Major General Hussein Abdul Hadi Muhabu, and under the direct supervision of Director of Internal Affairs and the Energy Police, Mohammed Baled Khalif Abulani, our detachments and acted informally through coordination with the Office to Combat Drugs. So there's obviously been some really bad stuff going through Basra, and that they immediately, a team was formed by the detachments in the southern region and adjustment from the Office of Drug Control and moved to the Karaja area, and which is under the responsibility of the Southern Basra Oil Police Battalion. Basically what they're saying is they thought drugs were going through Basra and they put a stop to that stuff. You know, what's really sad is that, you know, drugs rule the world right now. Drugs and drug cartels. And so, like, just like they want their borders safe, we want our borders safe. Mr. Mahandi reveals the plan and the date of the rest of the cabinet. I just want to show of hands in a few minutes. How many of you guys are tired of Mr. Mahandi and every 5 seconds he's got a new date for the cabinet to be released? We need the damn cabinet, Mr. Mahandi. Please get it going so we can get this going so we can be done. Prime Minister Abdul Mahandi on Tuesday, the plan and the date of resolution. I'll come back to this. Very important to note, I believe, as much as many of my team does, that actually it's done. This is smoke and mirrors for other greater events. The thing that I hate about sensationalism or these prophetic theories is that you can't prove them truly to you guys, and I don't like to report anything I can't prove. But for everybody that's come through there to say, hey, good job, congratulations on the new government, are they congratulating them on forming a halfway government and leaving out the two most important ministries? Or are they congratulating them on forming a government period? Because no other PM has been able to do it up thus far. Those ties remain to be seen. But we have sent to the main political blocs a list of names of the rest of the cabinet to reach consensus. Thank goodness. Let's get this over with. He added, and if you guys follow me on Twitter, which is at Mr. Brando YouTube, I was very critical this week of Mr. Mahandi because I was like, if I was a House Speaker or if I was one of these guys out there, I'd be like, why the hell haven't you formed your cabinet after 6 months? I get that you guys are a young democracy, and I get that there's stumbling points and blockage, but why can't you simply get these people together to get a unified front going so we can get on with this and get a cabinet seated? I don't understand it, especially because the group is not secretariat. It's supposed to be a group of technocrats. Why are you not able to get your stuff together and get it formed? And I found out that Sauter was in Iran this week, and I was like, why the hell is Sauter in Iran when his butt should have been in Iraq because he's the supreme cleric right now and he's holding the keys? Why wasn't he there kicking Mahandi in the caboose and saying, form the damn government, find out what the problems are, get Fiad, who has 2 jobs, off the list, and get your butt in gear and form this government? We went on candidates were proposed to us, and we asked the blocks to submit their candidates to study the situation. How much studying are you going to do? Okay, you've had time to study. It's 6 months to study. Time to get your butts in gear and get something going. I am not going to keep with this because it's crap. The government should have been formed. If it's private and not public, then it should have been made public. And the only reason why it would not be made public is because our investment is going forward. And that's the only reason why not. Now, if you want to say these people are a bunch of bumbling idiots that can't get their stuff together, that's convenient and easy to say. I somehow disagree. I think they're more calculating and a little bit more astute than we give them credit, and they're not here twiddling their thumbs. There's a great PDF that I want you guys to check out, and there's a link to it about the 2019 budget, and it shows an overall increase in spending of 23% compared to 2018. Ordinance is still a dominant source of revenue, which is projected at 89% of the government finance. However, the Iraqi government, with help from international creditors, has been aiming to increase non-oil source of income. In 2019, non-oil income reduces the IQD by 2.65 trillion or 2.24 billion. Now, that's really interesting. I've never really seen budgets that are talking in billions. They've always been in trillions or gazillions. So to see them talking in billions is a great sign for us. Spending on energy, and remember that word energy, when I tell you about the Holy Three, I was the one that brought you that 3 is a great number. We have seen 3s in great deals with Iraq lately. So spending on energy, which is part of the Holy Three, security and defense, as well as social services, remain a priority. They need to activate the private sector, but the state plan on spending capital projects will grow by 32%, and liberated provinces are included in planned financial allocations after the years of war. An important progression in 2018. Of course it is. If you're war-torn, you need to get your stuff back together, and you need to have an opportunity to have your projects implemented, not just put on paper, but implemented. While oil increased by $10 a barrel, what time? Hey, the call's on now. So whoever just text me, the call's on right now. You can see that back. Oil is the benchmark. Although oil was touching $8 a barrel, it's going to drop drastically in 2019. They need to figure out some off the chart oil revenues to come up with, meaning they got to think out of the box. That's something Iraq doesn't do very well. They're kind of a run quick pony with the whole oil, gas, and I'll show you later on that they're wasting gas, and so they need to get their stuff together to get oil and gas under control and tamed, as so they can go forth. Because even if you activate the private sector and you do all these things, if you don't have oil and gas in control, what good is it? Especially because it's 80% of your budget. We've gone over that. The U.S.'s report, Iraq is wasting gas in the quantities 10 times that it imports from Iran. So they're wasting more gas than they're exporting. issued Washington Institute of Near East Policy report on nature of energy, deals with Iran. Iraq imported quantities of electricity and natural gas, revealing paradoxes about Iraq's purchase price of Iranian gas. I told you before, we need to get them off the Iranian tit and back on their own tit. They have their own natural gas. They need to develop it. They need people like Exxon, Shell, BP to go in there and tell them how to develop natural gas. They have it themselves, and to get it to where their citizens, honestly customers, their citizens can utilize it and go forward. Iraq imported between 500 megawatts of electricity from Iran in the winter, and in the summer, 1,200 milliwatts at a cost of approximately $1.2 billion a year. Remember earlier podcasts I shared with you guys that they're in talks with Jordan to get their electrical grid up to par, so they won't have to pay out $1.2 billion a year in gas if they already have, and they can develop their own private sector and their own gas projects as well as their oil and gas, because that is very important and it is sustainable for a long period of time. That will also create jobs, and it will also be a job creation for engineers, for people that work in the oil field, for people that work in offices, HR. It will get the private citizens opportunities for work that they don't normally have. And that's super important, this investment, because we know that the Iraqi youth want to work. They're not a sloth group of people. They want to get out there and work their butts off and make their country as great as it can. But you can't make your country great if you're paying $1.2 billion a year in something you already have. The United States encouraged Baghdad to reduce its reliance on Iranian gas and electricity by harnessing the abundant and underutilized capacity. Man, like I just told you, they have gas, they have resource. They need to utilize what they have and not be so dependent on somebody else. Instead of being a rentier government, they need to be a donor government. That means they need to stop borrowing and trying to beg, borrow, and steal, and get on the path of them being the leaders in the Middle East and then providing the expenditures and the income to do so. These options have been able to reduce the prices and expense of it. Boom, boom, boom. We've talked about that. Now, I told you guys this before, that the CBI is one of those entities that is great in some ways, but they are very, very, very slow in adopting things that will help the private sector. And meaning that in a couple days, we all know this, that on January 25th, I don't know why they picked this day, y'all, but January 25th, there is going to be a major demonstration of the brokerage firms. And their argument is they're treated like second-class citizens, and they're not able to help stimulate the private sector, okay? I also have a report that I got from Twitter that says, remember I told you about Mahani, get your butt in gear? Finally, he did, and he got a new candidate for defense. But where is our interior minister? Nominated blocks in Coalition of Reform and Reconstruction to Prime Minister of Mahani, a new name proposed to Ministry of Defense. The head of 6 parliamentary blocks affiliated with the Reform Alliance to support the nomination of Mohammed Hussein al-Din al-Bayati to take over the defense portfolio for his efficiency and professionalism, in addition to his administration and field experience in the security file, and is a national figure, politically independent. It is noteworthy the difference between the political blocks are still continuing on the completion of the rest of the ministerial portfolios: defense, interior, justice, and education. The parliament is due to resume in the meeting today, but its agenda has been replaced by a vote on the completion of the ministerial cabinet. U.S. Secretary, and that's where the thumbtail comes in. Boom, comes the U.S. Secretary Mike Pompeo. He arrived in Iraq today on Wednesday for a surprise visit. Why is it a surprise? It wasn't a surprise to us. John told you guys the other day that Pompeo was going to Iraq. He just got the day wrong. He said Thursday, he showed up Wednesday. And in his report, he will utilize why he showed up today instead of tomorrow. So thank you, John, and thank you for the intel that you brought. Because yes, I'm sorry you were not perfect on how many members of Brexit there are, but you did get that correct, and I commend you for it. It's like you're looking into a crystal ball, and you guessed that one right. You hit it out the damn park. If I had my sound effects, I would hit a baseball, and it would go, great job, Johnny. Way to hit the baseball. That was awesome. Now, I don't care if there's 400 Brexit members or if there's 20. I do care about the investment, and I do care about getting the intel as correct as possible. And it's difficult on air, as you've seen me stumble all through this podcast, about giving every detail correct, as well as I'm reading it. He's quoting it from a source that he's writing down and taking notes from. It's very difficult to get things live correctly. It's super difficult to get things live correctly and remember what you said 5 minutes ago, because the truth is very, very, very easy and it's transparent, but it's very difficult to regurgitate in a manner that everybody understands. And I know this because I get texts all the time. Hey, Mr. Brando, you talk too fast. You're talking way fast. Well, this is the way I talk. I'm from Washington, and people in Washington, we think fast, we move fast, we do things fast. But one thing we didn't do fast, but I thought it was a huge, huge surprise. Mr. Pompeo graced Iraq today, and he had a surprise visit, not only with the troops, but some major heads of government. He met, including the prime minister, and he also met with the Speaker of the House. He's on a tour, and we found out from the tour that he was not on the United States Gov, schedule to meet with these people today. John will address that in a little bit, but he did meet there today with some people, and he's going back to meet with the president at a later date. It's kind of funny. Remember, I told you everything comes in threes. It's funny that 3 officials have met with Iraq in the last couple days, one being our president, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Number 2, our secretary, Mr. Pompeo, was there. And coincidentally, our Secretary of Energy was there recently, which everybody missed, including myself. But he was there recently. Remember, nothing's by accident. Everything's on purpose. So why would you have the energy person there? Okay, well, get him off Iranian gas. I just told you that. Number 2, why would Mr. Trump be there? Well, to tell them our troops that we're going to move out of Syria because Israel's been bombing Syria because there's all these terrorist groups there. And number 3, Mr. Pompeo's there meeting everybody from Erbil to the prime minister to all these different groups because he wants them to be in line with the world stage. He's trying to tell them, look, you're doing a good job, but there's a few things you got to do to complete the task. And I move on. Israel to remove Iraq from the list of enemy states. Now, I believe we talked about this last time, that Iraq and a delegation a year ago went to Israel. Based upon who? I don't know. I still believe it was Mr. Trump. And the reason why I say that is nothing's by accident. But Israel to remove Iraq from the list of enemy states. International off-right news at a time when the Israeli foreign minister unveiled the secret visits by 3 Iraqi delegates to Tel Aviv. Israeli finance minister Moshe Kolon announced removal of Iraq from the list of enemy states, which includes Lebanon, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and our big brother to the whatever is Iran. Signed a decree authorizing trade with Baghdad. Now, let's put pieces together. Group goes. We think maybe, possibly, our U.S. government was involved. They have great talks. The troops are removed from Syria. The bombing stops. Iraq is removed from some list. What does all that mean? I think it's a recipe for something awesome to come forward pretty darn soon. Pompeo is the 3rd senior U.S. official to visit Iraq. You guys, at our height of our viewership, we are graced with the queen of the Iraqi Dinar investment. She has been struggling, y'all. She's been up since 5 a.m.
I didn't want you to stop. Hi.
Hi.
Get in here. Hi.
Hi.
Whew. Okay.
You want to do your intro?
I'm April, baby. Hi, y'all. Okay.
She's smoking hot.
Oh, and I'm tired.
She's tired.
Help me, Lord.
She's missed some good news.
Well, I'm sure I will watch the repeat.
Are you gonna watch us?
I always do.
You're hot. Smoking hot.
If I can't watch it again, who will?
True. If you won't sustain yourself for an hour to watch it, who will?
Right.
But 272 of your closest friends. Now, he is the 3rd official to visit Iraq. Remember, I told you, President Trump under secrecy went, the energy secretary that under secrecy went, and Mike Pompeo under secrecy went, all to Iraq, all unannounced, all not on the U.S. government's calendar and scheduling for visits to the Middle East. I tell you guys, that's 3. Nothing happens by accident, and it's remarkable that it was all by secret. There's only two reasons why you do things by secret. One, you don't want anybody to know, like us. Or two, it's for security measures. I just happen to think it's by security. Security is a big deal in Iraq, and holding it's hard, especially with all these terrorist and malicious groups out there. They wanted to make sure that Donald Trump was safe. That went over smoothly. I think the energy secretary probably went first, then Trump, then Pompeo, because if Trump went and nothing happened to him, Pompeo going and then making formal introductions and being, all in it was extra good, okay? So that's just my own little prophetic thing, and I hope it's okay. Comes amid confusion over conflicting statements by U.S. President Trump and senior officials about the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria, where Iran backed President Bashar Assad in the country's civil war. That's the very first time you've ever heard that Iran is in a civil war, but it is a civil war. It's the whole Mustafa Assad group against everybody else because it's a have and the have-nots, but it's on a supreme plane. Yeah, I did check out the links you sent me. They were awesome too, but I can't report that because I'm reporting this. I already reported one you sent me earlier. The United States can use its bases in Iraq as a platform for continued operations against state organizations, Trump said in his December 26th visit. And Rick Perry urged Iraq to cut its dependence on energy on Iran, which we've told you. We're not politicians, but we told you, cut your dependence on Iran and go forward with your own natural resources. That's why you're blessed with having so many. Now, I thought this was very interesting in lieu of, remember, the brokerage firms are going on a major strike January 25th, but it was funny today, the central bank said it's going to reduce the letter of guarantees of the brokerage companies by the banks. So now they're reducing the exposure of the IQD or the US dollar to the brokerage firms. Why would they do that? It reduced the letters of guarantee for companies mediated by banks. It is decided that the letters of guarantee issued by the bank for the benefit of companies that mediate the sale and purchase of foreign currency for 6 months instead of a year from the date of insurance of the guarantee letter from companies wishing to extend the letter of guarantee in force. Letters of guarantee must be 50% of the company's capital. The reason why I think they did that, because think about it. If for some reason that their currency was to hold some value, how many of those actual brokerage firms would have enough physical capital that whatever they're giving out, they could cover by 50%? That would lead you to believe that they could not. That's why that letter of guarantee is going down. That's not a hard deduction to make. It's a very simple deduction to make. The last piece of news that I wanted to go over, if you're going to talk about hard currency, you got to talk about one of the things that people love to brag about. If currency's in abundance, you don't deal with gold or asset like oil. But if currency's not in abundance, people seem to hoard oil and gold. Today, the International Gold Council announced on Wednesday that Iraq's gold reserves amount to more than 96 tons during the month of January. Iraq's reserves of gold amounted to 96.3 tons during the month of January after buying 6.5 tons during the last September. Noting that these reserves represent 6.4 of other currencies. What other currencies, I would ask? Iraq remains the world's 37th place in terms of these reserves out of 100 countries. And remind yourself, it's 37th in reserves, but 56 in GDP. Go figure. And the financial statistics of the world gold reserves in the 5th place in the Arab countries. So they're 5th, which came after Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Algeria, and Libya, all having lesser value currencies than Iraq, I believe. The council noted that the world reserves of gold rose from the month of January by 135 in December to 33,872 tons, noting that the United States of America ranked first in the world in terms of reserve, and they gave a number, and Germany second. That is the news. So now I've got to go back over here to chat. This came in. Banking. They were stopped by trade. Okay, we can't. I can't talk about that. Thank you so much, Michelle. Happy New Year to you both. Our lines are open. You guys can call now if you want to call. Would you call the line to make sure it's working?
Oh, sure. Let's see, do I have that? Let me go back to our text message you sent.
Okay. Babe, we're on right now, babe.
She said something wasn't on.
No, she said what time? Western Standard Time. So Western Standard Time.
So now if we're on at 7,
they'd be on at 5. 5, babe. Or is that Bambi?
5 o'clock Bambucha. Is it Bambi or is it?
It's a 323 number.
Oh yeah, it is.
Okay, we're on. You guys, we're live. So
April BB. There we go.
Oh, hey y'all. This is the big part of the show that I've been wanting to deal with you guys on. Babe, hang up.
Oh, okay.
John was calling.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to, hey John, will you call me back? Or should I call you? Would you check the chat and see what he says?
Okay.
John had some news to share. And he had some surprise guests.
Well, tell him to call back. There you go.
There he is, y'all. Oops, no. Speaker. Hello?
Hey, you there, Brando?
Hey, I'm there, Johnny. What's going on, baby? You good?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
Let me...
We lost him. You there, my friend?
Yeah, I lost you.
Sorry, I lost you.
Let me start bringing my people in. I'm going to do a 3-way with a couple people, so just bear with me, okay?
Okay, bring them in, and I'm not going to do the introductions till you get here. I'm going to go ahead and look through some questions so you get everybody on the line.
Yeah,
and then we'll
bringing them in.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any questions that we can answer real quick?
I haven't seen any yet. Sorry.
Is everybody just shouting each other out and everything right now?
Yeah. Let's see. Did you answer any questions?
No, I just looked. Arkansas, TaylorMade. My son's in Fayetteville. Welcome. Hello. Hey, Oscar. Hey, Barbara. John's gathering his people, y'all, and I'm not one to brag, and I just saw the viewership shoot up, but I got to brag on John for a minute. He not only got the Pompeo thing right, he also got the Trump speech thing partially right. And the reason why everything's not going to be 100% because you can't telegraph your passes like you are throwing interceptions. No, Trump gave an 8-minute speech and did not mention anything about the trade in China, but what he did say is that he would mention Iraq. If you notice that we went to the community tab and he provided for me a excerpt, if you looked at 1690 or 1630 from that expert.
Well, it's already set up. They just got to go to your community tab,
click
the link, and right when he mentions Iraq, I set it where it'll automatically start.
There you go. And
it was posted maybe 19 hours ago.
I'm trying to call him, Brando.
Are you still calling him? Are you there?
Yeah, they went to voicemail. I'm still trying to get him.
Okay, keep going. I'm going to keep talking.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Pastor. Good to see you, my friend. Hey, Jose. Will, hey. Dixie Girls in the house. And I don't care if you guys like the shout-outs or not. I like them. We're keeping them. My show, my shout-outs, my fun. I like it. You guys don't like the mukbang. Hey, babe, remember when we first got started with mukbang and they criticized us?
Yeah.
You guys hate mukbang. I don't know why. You guys should go to Mr. and Mrs. J.
They're not going to like it, though.
I don't care. Go there anyway. Go to Mr. and Mrs. J after this podcast and have some damn fun. For real. Everything ain't so serious. Learn to smile. My show, my fun. Sorry. Yeah, we are praying for his mentor.
So what was can we get a summary while we're waiting for John? Can you give us a summary
definitely.
Talked about
remember, okay, so remember when you got the whole jaw drop thing going on when he said that Pompeo was going to Iraq for a special visit? Mm-hmm. Pompeo went on Wednesday instead of Thursday. Okay. Remember we talked about Israel and having that visit there by the Iraqi delegates and we didn't know who sent them, but they did.
Who sent them?
We don't know. Oh. But remember I speculated that it was Mr. Trump that did it. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what happened? What? Israel today removed Iraq from their terrorist group list. So they opened
Israel removed Iraq
from their terrorist
list. Okay.
Yeah. So
and what did Trump say last night? He said that I
got big things that are happening.
No, but what did he say about ISIS? Remember what he said?
That he was I am personally responsible for ISIS. Mm-hmm. Now, that remains to be argued or whatever. But what he said to me that was more important, he said, I got big things happening in Iraq that I cannot discuss.
Right.
Why not? Why can't you discuss it, Mr. Trump? Tell us. 303 of my closest friends want to know. What the hell's going on you can't discuss? For a not full cabinet, right?
Right.
I'm just saying.
Maybe they're waiting.
XRP, crypto gamers in the house. We're skills.
Skills that pays the bills.
Skills. Understatement of the century. I know it, John. I know it, man. You know it like I know it.
Oh, I'm tired, y'all.
We had a day.
Mm-hmm.
You still calling, John? He's calling. Hey, Kenneth. Pennsylvania in the house. Hey, Dreamer. Anthony, good evening. Chris Ledbetter is always here. Thank you, sir. Eric Rosado, new backdrop. No, Eric, we have a new studio.
Jerry there? Yeah. Okay, hey, buddy.
Okay, hey, y'all. Tonight's format's going to be a little bit different. John has intel for your intel. So, John, would you please like to introduce your special guest?
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for being patient. I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to coordinate a couple different people. It takes a minute. So currently I have one other person that's going to be getting on shortly, so I may have breaks to text them. So right now I have with me a good friend of mine that I met through this process. His name is Jerry File. We were blessed to meet on Facebook through a mutual friend. And Jerry, would you do us a favor and just kind of talk a little bit about your testimony as how you got into the currency, kind of your educational background, what attracted you to it, and just kind of up to present day, if that's okay.
Yeah, I had a friend I have two friends I deeply respect, and they told me about it initially. And then, make a long story short, I earned an MBA from a really good school years ago, and I've always been involved and interested in geopolitics. And I knew about the Kuwait situation. I'm not saying this is the same because it's not exactly the same. Right. But I knew a lot about currency and monetary system, gold and silver. And I knew it was legitimate when I heard about it. When I put two and two together, it took me about 10 minutes to think it through. So I just felt compelled almost immediately. So that's kind of in a nutshell my story.
Perfect. Well, if you guys can tell, Jerry is the calm to my frenetic. He's a Southerner from the Mississippi area, so he brings a chill to the whole process, which is great. So, Jerry, I kind of want to talk to the group a little bit about the incredible call we had with the intel this afternoon. That Jerry's not a very animated guy, but I think today we can agree, Jerry, that this got you off your seat a little bit. Would you say?
Yeah, it made sense because this is happening in three dimensions, and we can't see it all. But I had a sense in that some of this geopolitics, even having to do with the wall, for example, or the borders, right, are connected financially or from a security standpoint. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, totally. And just to give you ladies and gentlemen, in the show, a little bit of a background, the way that I go about, I'm not, like I said to you guys who were here Monday night, I'm not God, I'm not that special. I'm just a person who's been very blessed to run across a unique group of people. I have an attraction to quality people from different walks of life. And God has blessed me with a couple of talents, and maybe that's one of them. But Jerry is one of those special gifts that I've been able to be blessed to come across. So Jerry is one of the sources of my intel, but I also get my intel from some other places so that I'm getting it as accurately and sort of connecting the dots like Brando and I talk about as possible. So you'll sort of witness that in our discussion tonight. So
John?
Yes.
Can I ask Jerry a question?
Please, yeah, go for it, yeah. So,
hey Jerry, I'm Mr. Brando.
Yeah.
Hey, could you please tell us about your educational background, please?
Yeah, so I'm in my mid-50s, so I graduated college in '88, and then I graduated with a business degree, and I went to a prestigious graduate school in the Southeast to begin studies for an MBA, and I finished at another different prestigious business school with an MBA in '92. And I bring the time frame up because years ago I saw this thing come with the student loans. I knew it was going to be horribly. They were going to get more and more in debt as time went on.
Right.
And that's a whole other topic. But the point I think I went to. By the way, I went to London to finish my MBA, and then I lived 3 or 4 months in Spain. And I know about central banking systems, so I've been observing it for years and years and years. The currencies of different countries and how they're all connected to a central bank, and the central banks are connected to the IMF and other entities, and it's just they're just currencies.
So Jerry, could I go ahead and make this assumption that you are somewhat of a expert when it comes to not only foreign currencies, but how they interact with central banks and how their values are created or devalued? Is that something I could take a presumption on?
I would say somewhat. I'm not there. There's so much I don't know. Like, for example, 15 years ago, I had an opportunity to talk with Larry Kudlow, who's in the White House now. We talked at a conference, and I talked with Larry for about 15 minutes, and I was just blown away by what he knew about currencies. And it was interesting because that day, 15 years ago, going back then in my mind, what we talked about were how South American countries, in the context of our conversation, put a value or debase or revalue their currencies. And there are mechanisms by which they do that. And I don't know what they all are, but I know that it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very aware of it. I don't know if I'd call myself an expert.
Well, I would say that because of your level of education and because of your time spent dealing with it, your expertise probably supersedes mine, or probably a few other of just, I'm saying, our general or casual investors. And the reason why I bring that up is because I think all too often in a speculative investment like this, people think of us as a bunch of toothless yahoos that don't know our asses from a hole in the ground. And I don't mean to sound so rough, but I think that they think that we don't know what we're doing. And it just really brings a smile to my heart to know that someone that's got your background that's invested in this and says, you know what, this isn't crazy. You're not crazy, people. This is really awesome.
Well, it's kind of funny. I don't really feel like this is all that speculative.
Mm-hmm.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. The reason I say that is because in order to be involved in global commerce and trade with other nations, a country has to have a currency that has some value that can be exchanged for goods and services from another country.
Correct.
And I was in Arizona one time at a cigar bar talking with a guy that was a consultant to a lot of companies who did business with various countries in South America, and he pointed something out to me that was interesting. He said, you hear balance of trade, people talk about that flippantly, but he pointed out to me something I didn't know at that time, and that was if I'm in the United States and I trade with an Argentine company, then it's predicated on the value of our currency in a lot of things. And he pointed out that in order to make the trade balance, that one of the trading countries in the scenario may actually send, like Argentina may send beef or wine in lieu of to make the value of the trade balance. The whole thing the whole trading event did not start out with wine or beef, but it was incumbent upon the countries to trade with where they had competencies in order just to make the trade balance. And the goal of international trade is to achieve and maintain balance. Well, if that's why trade gets one-sided, because one country, the currency is too weak or too strong, depending on how you look at it, to trade for balance. And so it skews the behavior of trade. And I think that's what President Trump keeps talking about unfairness of trade. And he understands deeply about the value of currencies and the impact, and how, for example, he frequently brings up how China devalues their currency.
Mm-hmm.
He's bringing that up because it's skewing negative toward the United States, the value of the ability to trade in a way that benefits the United States.
I like that. John?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I muted so you could hear Jerry. Yes.
Could you please tell us that information that you and Jerry were talking about that was the nugget of knowledge you wanted to give me?
Absolutely. Well, there's several nuggets actually. So, and Jerry was on the call with me. So, I think it's safe to say that the hair on the proverbial back of our necks was standing up almost in sync, right, Jerry? So, yeah, there are several pieces of information. So just bear with me, Brando, as I go through it. You were obviously privy to it today. Okay, I'm going to work backwards, folks, not on the financial level, but leading up to that. And I think it complements what Jerry was saying pretty well. First of all, there was some information I was not privy to. And in the military contact that I'm trying to get on the phone right now, Carl, when he calls me back, will elaborate on it. But there was a lot of widely known beliefs between Jerry and I and many people, and sure many of you here in the chat room, that this RV was going to happen in 2018. It was said prophetically, it was said financially. And in truth, it should have. But the following details kind of led to some of those delays. So that some of you have maybe wondered, like me, why did this not happen now? Why are we going through another year? Blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of sort of anxiety syndrome that we all experience. There are reasons for it. The thing is, we didn't know what they were. But until now, we have a much better idea. The first one is New Year's Eve, the U.S. Treasury, members of the U.S. Treasury, this is coming from, Jerry and I were on the phone today with a person who has expert family who is involved in both the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, whose family member is very close to some White House press correspondents, and that's as far as I'm allowed for their comfort to discuss.
Okay, and I'm going to stop you there. Hold on, I'm going to stop you there, John.
Go for it. Yep.
I introduced John to this contact because John has a greater sense of is the word understanding, or is the word the ability to sniff out bullshit? You know what I mean?
Discernment.
Okay, discernment. Thank you, because you know I'm a toothless crackhead, like someone said earlier. I'm just joking. No, Anthony, I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
I know.
But you know what I'm saying? So I introduced you to this person because I was really taken aback by their story, and I wanted some backup because you're a valid team member, right? And you said, hey, let me run it by my people, and then let's get back together, right?
Right.
So continue, please.
No, I'm glad. No, it was absolutely your contact.
No, I don't care about it being my contact. It was our contact via that it came from our group, but it was one of those things that it was so like, oh my God, I can't believe what this person's telling me. I had to share it with the team. And because I know you have a background in this, I was like, please help me out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for trusting me with that. Well, before I get into it, I mean, Jerry's been in this longer than I have and has a complementary knowledge that I do. He comes more from the economics background. I'm more from sort of diversification of business background. So again, like our chat room, it's very complementary. So I'll sort of answer your question by asking it to Jerry. Jerry, would you say in all of your experience of us, with this, dealing with this over the years, would you say that this was some of the most credible and captivating information that you've heard in quite some time?
Yeah, because it gave sense to dots connecting in the background. I mean, politics are, and this is partially politically driven.
Oh yeah, totally.
They never tell me what they seen, and what I heard today, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember you said that to a few of the points the person.
And it made sense from a tangential standpoint. I'm like, oh, okay. And you after a while, you get it. You understand that something else has got to be driving it, but you can't put two and two together until you got to have a puzzle piece. So that's what I heard today. I'm like, okay, I knew there was.
Yeah, I remember a few of the things the person said. You were kind of like, oh, that's why this happened. That happened. It connected years of dots for you, which is great.
Yeah, and even while you say, okay, that makes sense, and now I understand, you can never really understand everything because it's driven by human beings and human nature and some secret
Oh yeah.
But it can clear up, but you're still looking through a glass that's smoky sometimes.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think in this opportunity, you're never going to get a fully clear view. You're just trying to remove levels of that haze as much as possible to get to the target. I think that's a good way that you sort of characterized it. So, go ahead.
We didn't really talk about this today, and there was nothing revelatory that made this really clear, but I knew there was something more to why President Trump did not go to Mar-a-Lago over the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to do with the fact that he's working on this, in my opinion. And he's also working on some other things that are tangentially related. And that's one reason why he didn't go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he had to be where he was. He set up this negotiation thing today by hanging around and offering ample opportunities to come to him and get things rolling. Well, that's not directly related to this currency thing, but then again, it is related.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, with this type of opportunity, you have to look like Brand and I talked on Monday. You have to look at the puzzle pieces because maybe a piece on the far left doesn't look like it interlocks to the middle, but when you start tracing it together, everything does interlock. And it's the ability to have that quasi-beautiful mind to see how everything comes together. And Jared, you've been such an integral part of that. So I just wanted to thank you for your friendship tonight and for you educating me over the years. I've learned so much from you and other people over the years of this. It's been a real pleasure. So thank you for that.
Likewise.
Thank you. So, did I answer your question, Brando? Or?
Yeah, you did. No, you did. I'm in the chat because my dog, I apologize, everybody. Daisy is such a little poop. She's out here barking because when she hears us talking, she thinks that we're doing stuff that she should be involved in. We spend a lot of time with our animals and our kids. And so she's out there barking like, what's going on in there? I know y'all are doing stuff. I want to be a part of it. So when she hears IQD, she goes crazy.
Well, maybe Daisy invested in the RV. That's why she's interested.
Yo, yeah, she's really invested. Trust me. She's been there. She's been my A1 since day one. She knows. Her and Miss BB. So April's out there soothing her, getting her to calm down a little bit.
She's counting on you getting her better quality treats. After
Yeah. She I'll make you guys laugh about that. April already feeds her steak every other day. She's out there screaming, I want Wagyu now. I don't want just steak.
Very good.
I apologize, but y'all, I apologize for the dog in the background too. So that's why I'm saying I apologize.
No worries. So going back to some of our intel, what I thought would be appropriate, Brando, is to kind of give people, instead of the numbers, save the best for last, but kind of put the puzzle pieces together of what we learned today and kind of separating fact from fiction. I think this is a good opportunity to do that. So firstly, this I didn't even know. And I mean, I don't obviously know everything by any means. I learned too, but you would think being in this for a certain period of time, you have a handle on things, but even certain things will surprise you, right? It's just inevitable. So folks, one of the reasons this didn't happen in 2018 is the following. During what our intel shared with us today, coming from top levels of the Treasury and the Fed, respectively, is during New Year's Eve, there was a bank heist attempt in D.C. for about $10 trillion. And this involved some of the highest members in the Treasury. The president got wind of it and shut that bad boy down. And there's at least 40 Treasury members going to be arrested, probably most likely being shipped out to Gitmo. For those of you who don't think Gitmo is a real thing, it absolutely is. Brando's researched it. I've researched it. Jerry knows it. Carl, the other guy I'm going to get on the phone, military, can vouch for that. it's a real deal. They've spent close to $300 million to renovate that facility with about 4,000 beds. So it absolutely is a real deal. And those guys just joined the party. Additionally, during the New Year's period, there was about 8 prime ministers globally that had death attempts on their lives. So that was thwarted. No telling what would have happened if that went through. But there were some deep Illuminati and Cabal members responsible for trying to pull that off. By the grace of God, that was thwarted. Okay, so that's number 2.
And
number
John,
3,
hold on. Let me throw in a caveat on that one.
Sure, go ahead.
For all of you that don't think the Illuminati is real, I shared with John earlier, and he and I were talking, and I said the Illuminati has actually come at me on Instagram. I'll share with you that. I'll pull it up if you guys want to see it. They've come at me through email several times now, asking for my allegiance, for my my participation, and I've told them I'm all game. Tell me what you got. Show me what you got, because I fear nothing. But my wife April became a bit concerned and shared with the group that I shouldn't toy with such entities because they're very dangerous. And huh? Yeah, let Daisy in. She's fine. Come on, Daisy. Come on. Come on, Daisykins. Come on. Daisy especially does not like Illuminati. Come here, baby.
You shouldn't toy with us, please.
I know. She told me that. And so I'm just telling y'all, if you guys want to see my emails, I'll get Miss BB seeing them. She'll open it up for you.
No, I won't.
Well, she won't. But I'll just tell you that it's real. It is very real. It's very real.
Well, before I go back on topic, we seem to have somebody. I'm watching the chat room. We seem to have a gentleman here who seems to think he's got all the answers. He thinks mass arrest will never happen, and that my intel about the president was way off. Well, if he listened to the video, he would see it wasn't way off. The timeline might have been, but the facts weren't. And if he thinks that mass arrests were never going to happen, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So I would love him to come on this show and share with us his vast intel, since he's got all the answers.
And
so,
John, we don't have any secrets. Who is that person?
Oliver?
His name is Oliver Lockett.
Yeah.
Oliver, hold on. Oliver Lockett.
Yep.
In a moment, call the phone number. I posted it. Babe will post it for you.
Yep.
If you have alternative email to this or alternative intel to this, it's an open market. Call.
With Oliver, if you don't think that the mass arrests are going to happen, why don't you tell us what is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm very interested to know what is what. So please, Oliver, if you have information that we don't, would you come forward, please, and get on the air and tell me about it?
Yeah, Frank is right. You do have a lot of intel, Frank. You've been correct on a lot of it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's been spot on. So, while we wait for Oliver's brilliance, we'll just continue with our facts. So, number 3 thing that was divulged today was there's been a lot of debate about martial law. Will it be enacted? Will it not be enacted? So we asked about that. And as of what our intel has shared, there's not going to be any martial law. Apparently, the president doesn't feel it's necessary to get this done. However, he is going to declare a state of emergency. That's how he's going to override the pissing contest in Congress to get the wall built. See, people, we talked about this for some who probably heard it Monday night. I'm sorry if I'm being redundant, but it is really noteworthy to remind people. The reason for the wall is not just about illegal immigration. Obviously, that's part of it, but it also has to do with opioid drugs and sex trafficking. The Coyotes and a lot of MS-13, there are a ton of gangs that are out there that are using children like bait, like a commodity. It's disgusting. Like whatever we think it is, it's 1,000 times worse, and it's kept me up at night sometimes. So that's why he's going to do it. In the process of doing that, our intel has shared with us that by him enacting the state of emergency, it's also enacting every basically executive order that every president prior to him in U.S. history has done. So not only dealing with a global currency reset, we're almost kind of dealing with a presidential reset as well. So that's an important point. Let's see. Okay. So there's another sort of widely controversial discussion that's gone on, folks, about does the Iraq cabinet need to be seated in order for the RB to happen? It does not need to happen. It's a separate issue. It would be nice if they would do it, but it's not a must-have. And I can understand why people feel that it needs to be done, but it does not. The truth is, this RV is already a done deal. They're letting the president and members of the IMF kind of make this decision along with the Treasury. They're just waiting for the go button. And, another thing, Brando, that you talked about things happening in Breeze.
Mhm.
So one other thing that's not discussed very much, but the UN has spent a tremendous amount of time in Iraq.
Mhm.
Nobody ever talks about that. Does anybody wonder why the UN would be spending so much time in a country if nothing's going on there? Isn't that curious?
Very.
So that's just something to plant a seed for people.
Remember, when government
Okay.
agencies like the IMF, the UN, the World Bank, the United States, entities like this, they don't invest in losers. They just
No.
don't. I mean,
No, they don't.
they just don't. I mean, I don't know how else to put that. I mean, and Oliver, I didn't mean to time you out. I
No,
just
it's
want
fine,
you to
it's fine.
simply come on board and say, this is information I have, Oliver, and I'll untime you out. But it's easy to be a critic.
Mhm.
Come on
Jerry,
board,
do you
show
wanna-
your face, talk, and we'll do things.
Right. And we don't have all the answers, but we have something to bring to the table, which is why we're here.
Exactly.
So-
If you've got some information that's viable, bring it. I'm all open for it.
Agreed, Frank.
Moderators, unlock him. If he's got info on Oliver Lockett, unlock him, please. And I'm not trying to dwell on one person again, but if he's got something to bring it.
Yeah, I mean, totally. So, Jerry, do you have anything to add before I continue? I guess not. Okay.
I think we lost Jerry a little bit ago.
Oh, did we? Okay.
I heard a
I'll call him back.
click.
Okay, I'll call him back after this.
Right.
Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm just going back.
Will you do me one more favor, John? Because it's approaching that hour.
Sure.
And I know this is preemptive to what we talked about.
Uh-huh.
Tell them what the Treasury source told you about being skewed like we talked about, but tell them what they told you to expect in the next weeks or days coming up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was kind of getting into actually right now. You segued perfectly. So
Okay.
the news that most people care about is
Right.
what's going to happen with the currency, the timeline, the rates, all that kind of stuff. I was just getting into that. So
Mhm.
here's what your contact shared with me. And I'm going to personally put it out there and take ownership for this because I didn't say this on your show, but I have had my own philosophy of how I was going to do this, and you and I have talked about it in the past. My plan was always like, I have Dong, I have Dinar, right? My plan was I was going to cash in some of what I needed, pay off my debts, and keep the rest, and let the banks and or the currency traders come at me with higher offers as this flow goes up, right? So my plan was going to go buy rupiah. After today's discussion, my plans have changed dramatically. I'm fully able to admit I was wrong on what I thought the process was going to be because it's a 50-50 thing. It could be one or the other, right? But here's what we've heard that's pretty concrete, okay?
Okay.
So we've got, let's see, the dinar and the dong, first of all, are going to go at the same time. We've discussed that already. That's pretty ironclad.
Okay.
What's interesting is that a majority of the other currencies globally in the SDR basket are all going to go concurrently. I think they don't want us to double dip. They also do not want a repeat of what happened in Kuwait. When Kuwait revalued, it revalued at $12. And that rate of inflation was so great that it was too much for that country to bear given the size of it. It's not like America. So Kuwait, this was a shocker to me, is going to be in debt for the next 50 years as a result of that RV.
And that's my point.
America,
John, tell them that our source from Treasury told us, and I know you guys are going to say this is bullshit, but our source told us that their father was involved in Kuwait as a contractor and basically exchanged it, what, $10.30?
yeah, that's about that, right.
Okay. So
Yeah, so go ahead.
I say that to say this. If there is disbelief about a source, simply ask them to present themselves. Like we did, right, John? We just said, simply tell us who you are. And they said, look, I'll gladly share myself with you. However, because I am involved in Treasury, I can't divulge my face. And I get that. They showed me an ID badge. They showed me everything. So I said, cool. So John said, okay, tell me details about Kuwait that no one else could tell me, right?
Yep.
And what did you learn?
More like, what didn't I learn? Well, so Kuwait doesn't have anywhere near the size of population or density that we had.
Right.
So they can ill afford to have this kind of drainage. And for the next 50 years, they're going to be in a bad way. Okay. So
they're in debt. They're leveraged to the hilt.
They're leveraged beyond the hilt.
Right.
And it's almost like they'd be better off if they didn't have RB in the first place.
Right.
You know, it's and I think that's a cautionary tale to us as Americans to learn from that, to not get greedy and not over leverage ourselves, because we can't treat this like a lottery and then, you know, spend everything away in 2 or 3 years. And now we're in debt again, but now we have to pay property taxes on houses and cars and boats that we can't afford.
Now, John, let's tie it all together for him. If the difference between Kuwait and Iraq is already in debt, they're already leveraged to the hilt.
That's right.
They didn't get leverage to the hilt. Do you guys see the process now? I love tying things together. Kuwait was not in debt before they had their evaluation. They revaluated their currency and floated it up to a point where they got in debt. Iraq's already in debt, right?
There's nowhere there for them to go but up.
So if they revalue their currency, they can simply pay off their debt. That's why their rating for credit is not a F or a D, correct?
Correct. Exactly
It's
right.
simple, y'all. You pay your bills, you get your credit. You can't pay your bills, you got bad credit. This country's managed to pay their bills and maintain a rate about 1190, 1188. I'm sorry, John. I'm just trying to tie it in for the guys that don't understand how it works. You know?
Totally appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you please tell them the rates that you know? Now, y'all, listen, before I tell you guys anything, I don't do rates and I don't do dates, okay? I'm sharing with you what someone told me and someone told him. So if you hold my teeth to the fire, I'm going to tell you again, and it's being recorded live. This is not my number. This is their number. But they told me, based upon their expertise and what they know in their field, what to expect. John, you want to unveil it, or you want me to?
Yeah. I know I'm going to. I was just waiting for you to finish.
I'm sorry. I'm a loud. You know, I'm a talker.
No, we both are. That's cool. That's why we get along.
I know, right? I love this guy.
I want to address a couple of the points in the chat room. Frank has got a lot of the facts, from what I've gathered, correct. Oliver seems to think this is a conspiracy theory. Oliver, I've been in it 6 years too. I don't do conspiracy theories. If you were listening to me, I told you I get my source from at least 4 different places so I can corroborate the commonality and the validity of what I'm hearing. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, all right, here's what you all want to hear. Drum roll. So, dinar and dong going at the same time. Okay? The dinar is going to go between $3.50 to $4.50 right out of the gate. There is going to be what you said, Brando, a managed float of about 2% over a 90 to 120-day period. How long that will last, we don't yet know. It's a brave new world. Now, the dong is going to be around $1, also on a managed float. Same with all the other currencies. Now, this intel wanted me to make sure that I drove this point home, and you said it as well, Brando. It's very important. Those of you who are asking about Iranian rial, 4 words: do not own it. It's on the OFAC sanctions list. If you go into a bank with that, they will arrest you on the spot. No questions asked. Another thing that I want. Go ahead.
I'm going to reiterate this to you, all you guys. All you guys out there bragging about owning Iranian rial, I'm encouraging you. I'm not just asking you. I'm encouraging you. Do not take rial to your exchange at the bank. There are usually officers at a bank, okay? And when you tell them, I hold this currency because they lopped off 4 zeros, it's 24 cents on the Kuwait. I want to cash it in. They're going to arrest you because it's against the law. The rial is a shell game, okay? I'm not saying anything else is right or wrong. I'm telling you based upon the usgovernment.com, their website. Do not take rial to your exchange. Do not do that. I don't care who tells you. I don't care your favorite guru, your favorite YouTuber, me. If I come on here as a clone and tell you take rial, you tell me to go to hell. You do not take rial to your exchange. You will go to jail.
Right. Now I want to address a couple of other issues. Brando,
Mhm.
for the group because I'm seeing the questions come in.
Mhm.
So, been asking about Zim. We're going to get to that. Okay, we're going to cover all that. I have not forgotten. Just bear with me, guys. Be patient, and I will explain float as well. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm seeing the comments. Zim is the Zimbabwe dollar. I asked the intel about that because I was wondering. Now, one thing I do know for sure, I've mentioned to you guys before, I'm in a private placement group. That's okay. So there's 4 tiers. Tier 1 is, presidents, ambassadors. I already know for a fact back in 2016, Obama, Buffett, and Gates, those guys all cashed out. Typical double standards. They let themselves cash out, but not us little people, right? No surprise to anybody. 2 would be military people, generals, admirals, like the group above us. They're just going in now. 3 is what I'm at, tier 3. That's private church groups, nonprofits. 4 would be basically us, but with a little bit of intel more than the average person, and then the public. So the Zim is legit for the private placements. It's what hydrates the banks. It's like the base gravel foundation that paves the way for all of our other currencies to go. As far as public, it does not look like it's going to go. I don't have any Zim for that reason. So this intel is shared with me that there's not going to be any Zim publicly. So just put that away. What a float is Brandon, I can talk about it, or you can talk about it.
Well, I'm answering it, but I can tell you what a float is, but if you want to, you're my guy. You tell them.
Well, just because you talked about before between a dirty float and a regular float. Managed float basically is just like it's like leveraging the inflation rate, capping the inflation rate so it doesn't go beyond a certain point. And the reason is so we don't end up like Kuwait. A dirty float is where they just let it flow wild and let the market drive up the cost to whatever it is. Okay, so that's really in a nutshell what a float is, managed versus dirty. What was another question that I'm trying to address everybody's question? Okay,
let's talk about a float for a minute, okay? There's a difference between a float and a lop. A lop means a lop is not a bad thing as far as currency is concerned. What they're basically telling you on a lop is this. We're going to take whatever currency's out there and we're going to just get rid of it, okay? That doesn't mean that if you're a millionaire under a lop, you don't have the opportunity to exchange it for your new currency. It just means the rising value of your currency is going to take longer to get there. An ugly word in the Dinarian community is lop. Lop is not a bad thing. It's not going to raise the value of it like it should or over time that it should. It's going to take longer, okay? Now, when you have a float, now this is where John and we argue this all the time, and I love it for it. If you have a compliance to the IMF, it says that you have to be 2% compliant to the dollar. But my argument is that they're not compliant to the dollar. The 2% compliance is to the SDR basket. Remember, currency was never meant to float. It's a fixated thing. I give you $1, I get $1 for the goods. So the float comes into play when you have supply times velocity, meaning that I have so much dinar in the world and the demand is this, the value is this based upon certain criteria. That's it. It's not super smart math. It's just a simple thing. So understand this. A float, whether it be dirty or managed, means that your currency is going to raise or decrease in value, depending on what your currency is pegged to. U.S. holders are going to be pegged to the UST. If you're in Canada, it's going to be to whatever Canadian money is. Mexico, the peso. Vietnam, the dong. Do you see where I'm going with this, guys? It's not rocket science. Okay? A lot of times they make us feel like because we're currency investors that we're dumb. We're not dumb.
Nope.
We're very smart. And we have very smart people talking to us, like John and like Gary.
Yeah, and with the time that we've had, Brando, to invest in this, it's given us time to learn and get knowledge and share intel. So it's actually worked to our advantage. What man is meant for harm, God is used for good.
Right.
Now, I'm seeing a couple of questions in the chat room. So yes, Frank and who was it here? Dixie Girl keeps asking when. Okay, so let's address that. Now, again, I'm not God. I don't, know the exact date, but I can, from the intel I have, I can give you a pretty good bullseye. So within margin, here's what we're looking at. I need all of you to do us a favor because you're part of this, and that is pray for my mentor Don, who brought me into this. He is in the private placement, managing our little subgroup, if you will. It's like a potluck if you think of it that way. It's like church of 350 people in this group, and he brought our potluck to the table. Our group is being told that by January 15th, he should get paid. In turn, I'll get paid, and then it goes public. We are looking at, for the public, somewhere around the end of the month, somewhere like January 29th to the 31st, and to Frank's credit, he called that. Will said, got cut off, repeat the rates. The rates are $3.50 to $4.50 for the dinar, a solid $1 for the dong. Somebody asked, what about the rupiah? It's going to go at the same time as all of the other currencies. So it's already in the mix.
And y'all, Oliver's back. Oliver, if you want to call, if you're from Las Vegas and I didn't catch it, would you call back to Oliver? I'm not about shaming anybody, okay, guys? I'm not about making fun of anybody. I'm not about belittling anybody. Oliver, if you're back, I'm glad you're back. Thank you. If you have insight into what we're talking about, oh, you're in Arizona. Oliver, call and give us your input into what's going on. Babe or Babe, anybody else, please put the number in there where he can call us, please. Thank you, babe. Thank you. And tonight's call is extra long, but I think it was necessary because so much has transpired. No, you did not get in the speech what we wanted to hear. You got it in the cabinet meeting. Y'all, you got to listen to me on this. You didn't get it in the speech. You did get it in the cabinet meeting. April Beebe posted it for you at the time frame. I can't tell you any more than what I can tell you. That's all I can give you. He says many things are happening in Iraq that I cannot tell you. He's the president. He can tell you any goddamn thing he wants. Right. I mean, I don't mean to get mad, but I'm just telling you. Tell me what you want to know, and they'll tell you. Right. This is such a blessing to have people like this by your side.
Yeah. Brando, I want to add one thing to what you were saying, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you brought up a lot of good points. So I'm just kind of mopping up around you at this point. A lot of people would watch the video and say, well, the date was different, or blah, 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 nitpicking. I'm like, first of all, what difference does it make when what the date is? The information is accurate. So if you said it this morning or 2 years later, it's still accurate, first of all. Second of all, people are like, why doesn't he mention the RV? For the simple fact that it violates SEC insider trading rules.
Oh my God. We talked about that earlier. Listen, do you think I'm going to risk my family's wealth and your wealth upon a guess?
Exactly.
We're not. We don't know. And we're not gonna, if we did know, we couldn't tell you.
Right. So there's so much geopolitical politics, as you've mentioned. So the media and certain people who are against him are itching to find something to impeach him or put him out of power. If he mentions that, he gives them the out. He is smart enough to know that. Our president is playing 3D chess while everybody else is playing checkers. People do not understand the level of depth and intelligence this man has. Brando's had experience with him.
Yep.
I've met him in the past. I'm telling you, this guy, he operates on a different speed than the rest of us.
Yeah.
He's drinking Diet Cokes and working 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's not like playing Candy Crush. He's working his butt off constantly. Brando, would you back that up?
Yeah. I will tell you this, and you can take it for what it's worth. In the business that I work in my regular life, I spent 1 week at 1616 Trump Towers in Chicago, assisting in a project that he was involved in. And when I tell you this guy was a workhorse, he worked. And you can ask April; she's not even in here. When she was in here, and if you guys notice, the whole thing is froze. But she said, "I can't believe you spent time with him." And I was like, "Yeah, I spent a week with him." And he probably will tell you this if you could ever meet him. We ate dinner at his restaurant. His chef came out. We had a meal. There was like 4 or 5 of us. After the meal, I'll make you guys laugh. I didn't even show it with John. We ate, and he was like, "You're not full, are you?" And I was like, "No, I wasn't." And I'm a big guy. And he goes, "Let's go get some pizza." And I was like, "For real?" He was like, "Yeah, I'll get you a pizza." He took me to Louis Monaldi's. We rode around a limousine, and he took me around Chicago. No bullshit.
Hey, Brando, I have my other contact here with us, Carl. Carl, say hi to Brando in the group.
Hey.
So this is equally an honor to have this friend on. So you guys are in for a real treat because you heard from Jerry, who brought his own thing to the table, which is amazing. Now we have another complimentary piece. Carl, thanks for taking some time tonight. I really appreciate it. I want to have, if you don't mind, I did the same format with Jerry, who came on before you. Just kind of share with the group a little bit about your testimony about sort of your military background, some of your previous training experiences, and then how you learned about the currency and just your mind share in this whole thing.
Right. Well, good evening, brothers and sisters. My name is Carl, and my background includes military, it includes medicine, it includes forex trading for about 20 years. And I came in at a year, basically, at my church, and we stepped on the station. But in the last month, John,
Hold on, Carl.
You're cutting out a little bit, Carl.
Yeah, Carl. Are you is your mic turned up? Are you listening while you're watching? Turn down your sound on your receiver as far as the Wi-Fi is concerned, and then speak if that helps. John?
Yeah, I'm still here. Carl, you still there? Let me try calling him back.
Okay.
Hold on.
So you guys are asking about taxable rates and stuff. I can't go too long because I know you guys won't, skills, yes. For every one IQD, $3.50. That's what they're saying. That's not my number. That's their number. Do I think it happened before January 29th? They're saying before April 1st. That's all I can tell you there. You guys, I got GE stocks. Just saw GE just signed a deal in Iraq. Black Sparrow, that deal was signed months ago, bro. Reconstructed, yes, it was.
I lost him, Brando. He's going to call me back. So,
Okay. We'll hold on through that, and I won't keep everybody on the line. We're hitting record numbers for people on chat, so I'll keep it open as long as you guys are on here.
Well, there's a couple things I saw in the chat room I want to address, Brando, real quick. I think
Go ahead.
Address the Zim, but let's just get it cleaned up. Privately, absolutely for the Zim. Publicly, as of right now, no. I just talked to your contact offline, Brando, and they said they're going to have more intel in the morning. So
Okay.
we should have some fresh stuff that I can talk to you about tomorrow.
So we may have to go tomorrow evening for like 20 minutes, maybe. You know?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
That is a good point that somebody brings up in the chat. I kind of have. It's not concrete on this, but I have some intel that has shared their opinions on it, and it is just opinion. It's not been established, but
Okay.
the issue of taxation. The first thing is, both. I want to explain what I do know, which is that both the currency traders and the banks will solicit you for your currency. So people are like, "Well, how am I going to know?" Trust me, they know you have it. They'll find you. They'll get a hold of you to let you know it's ready for exchange. You don't have to shout out with a megaphone. There's no 800 numbers and any of that nonsense that other gurus are always opining about. So that's not true. They'll get a hold of you. As far as the tax issue, if you go in and you say, "Hey, I want to cash out my investment," that automatically triggers a 20% tax.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, why would you want to tax a non-taxable event? It's a currency exchange. Banks are making a finder's fee off of you. We discussed this, Brando, earlier. I think it's a good opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, it is.
Most people don't realize how this works, and Jerry was the one that educated me about it, amongst many things. So I'll play a role play with you, Carl. Does anybody know how much it costs Iraq currently to produce a barrel of oil?
You told me, and that's the only reason why I know, but would you share it with them?
As of current rate, it's $162.50. So if you have like a $10,000 note, let's say, and you walk into the bank and you hand in that $10,000 note at, let's just say it's $1, right? You give them the money, $10,000. They're going to take about a $200 finder's fee, and you keep the rest. That then circulates back to the country of origin. and Iraq, for example, would make about roughly $12,500 on that barrel of oil,
Right.
from the rate of inflation and the revalue.
Right.
So it's pretty huge.
So, I mean, you guys missed that right quick. So let's talk about that. You got a $10,000 note. You go into your bank, right? You're going to get back roughly $9,800, $9,700, right? There's a fee for that, okay? What we call I think they call it the split. Not the split. They call it something else.
Yeah, I can't remember the term.
The spread. They call it the spread.
Spread, yeah, that's
The
right.
spread's what it's called. So you're going to get the spread that's going to go to the bank for fees and operational whatever. So what happens is that you're going to be able to take home $9,700 to $9,800, but it only cost Iraq $156, right, John?
It costs $162.50.
$162.50 to get a $10,000 note. So that's what you call a margin. So if you're not in retail, margins are based upon I buy it for $1, I sell it for $100. What the retailer gets in profits called a margin. Okay, your gross margin on investment means I invested $1,000 in dinar, I got $1 million, I got back $970,000. If I'm saying it right, right?
So I'm kind of curious on the chat room. Kyler Richer is saying, hey, your Intel guys were wrong. Okay, how were we wrong exactly? Tell us where. Be specific. Spread is just, by the way, Brando, the Intel is giving me some updates for you.
Mm-hmm.
Spread is just like a buy and sell spread.
Right.
Okay, and then also I'm to mention that rates can vary according to inflation and deflationary events.
Okay, hold on. Let's address something real quick.
Sure.
Kyler, the show is live. Call my number right now. Babe will post it. Tell me where we're wrong. Correct us. We're open for education. We're not all knowing, all seeing. Tell us where we're wrong. Don't be a critic. Be a participant. Okay? That's why I do this live. I'm not in this to be smart. I'm in this to be rich and to help other people and to help my people that don't know how to be rich and to maintain wealth. So, Kyler, if you know more than I do, tell us what's wrong with the Intel.
Right. Somebody's asking, Jerry is from Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
Will you exchange? Yes. The 800 numbers, I've never understood why people bought into that. Why do you need that if the banks and the currency exchanges already have your information? I know for a fact, one of my friends who bought this 6 years ago, she's getting calls from currency traders she didn't even buy from that are offering her anywhere from, I think, $750 to $850 for her dinar currently, right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sucker rate. That's what they call a teaser rate.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's for people who are frustrated or jaded or probably shouldn't be in this investment to begin with, because what attracted me to it is it's a faith-based investment.
Okay, John, let's back up 2 seconds. Let's address that. So if I'm an Iraqi, okay, and I live in Iraq, and they come out with a dollar for dollar value, right? But a dollar, really the value of it's 80 cents, right?
Correct.
Why wouldn't I just deal in USD? Do you see my point? A dollar's a dollar, okay? But if I know a dollar only brings me 80 cents, why would I ever go in and cash out $1 million only unless I'm frustrated or broke to do that? That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
That's why they say to get those 3-0 notes off the floor, they've got to come out at a rate that's realistic to the value of their currency. It's not rocket science, y'all.
Well, it's been suppressed, and also somebody asked about gold and silver. Yes, you should buy gold and silver in as much copious amounts, physical gold, not digital gold. If you don't touch it, you don't own it. Get as much as you can.
Hold on. Kyler wants my phone number. Babe just posted it. Tyler, my phone number, call 903-392. I'll put you live. Kyler, I'm asking you, call me. I'll hang it with John, and I'll come back to John. John and I talk every day. Call me. Tell me where I'm wrong. Hold on. I've been in this from the beginning. Yes, boots on the ground in Turkut. Okay. So Kyler, tell me where I'm wrong. Call me. No, hey Demetrius, listen. If you got $1 million and the currency lops, you have the option. Hold on. This is Tyler right here. I'm gonna answer the call. Hold on. This is him. Kyler.
Kyler.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Kyler, are you there?
Brando, I'm here, buddy.
Okay, man. Tell me where we're wrong. I don't mean to hang up on John. He'll forgive me. Tell me where we're wrong.
No, don't hang up on John. I'm interested in it too.
Okay.
Hey, look, here's what I'm saying, Brando. I'm not necessarily arguing a point that anybody's wrong here. Let's face it, there's a million different scenarios in this case. We know that.
Okay.
When it comes down to breaking down numbers, and I agree with John. I'm not disputing his other 162 a barrel. I'm not disputing that.
Okay.
At all, zero. But a lot of people, the gurus, we'll say the gurus, are passing intel on and not even understanding how this investment even started to begin with.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you on that one.
I guess my curiosity. Does John or you yourself, and now I listened to your guys' podcast yesterday on the playback, not live. I listened to it on a playback.
Thank you.
So I was able, to back up it and where John gets his and the possible source that go with.
Well, Kyler, hold on. I'll tell you where he gets his source from.
Sources too.
I'll tell you the source too. I will. I'll tell you the source. I can't tell you their name, but it's a source that I turned him on to based upon our conversations. And I told him, call him and check this out for me. And they presented documentation and W-2s where they work and everything else. I couldn't doubt them.
Okay. Hey, I'm not doubting you, Brando.
No. And Kyler.
Hey, I'm not doubting.
Kyler, and don't think this is a challenge, okay? I'm not here to be an ass, okay? Being an ass gets you nowhere in life. I'm saying that.
Hey, I agree.
And we're together, okay? So hold on. Let me see if I've never done this live. I'm gonna try to connect you and John together, okay?
All right.
I'm gonna try. I've never done this. If you're familiar with iPhone,
I'm on an iPhone now.
John.
I'm getting a little bit of feedback.
I know you are, brother. I'm sorry. That's me. Okay, I'm putting it all together.
I'm here, Brando.
John, I got Kyler on the phone too.
Okay, cool. Hey, Colin. Hey, what's up, John?
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, I can hear
I've
you.
never done that. That's awesome.
Thanks for your service, Kyler. Really appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem, bud. Okay.
Tell Kyler, tell John what
I'm
you're
here.
telling
I'm
me.
just kind of waiting.
Okay. Here's what I was just explaining to Brandon. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you, John, in the least. I actually agree with the number that you were just shooting out there is the 162 and all that. I agree with that. Here is what I guess my issue is, and I follow all, not necessarily follow. I'm not going to say that, John. I pay attention to what these different gurus are saying on Dinar recaps, the chronicles, and all that stuff. All right. And what I've discovered, and now I'm going to tell you, and this is the honest to God's truth.
Sure.
My aunt was boots on the ground when they liberated Tikrit. Okay?
Wow.
That's how I knew about this. That's how I found out about it. Okay? And there's 99% of the people that don't even understand how this investment actually started and why it started. Can you answer that question?
I can.
How the investment started and why it started? Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
I can.
Well, first of all, again, and just going back to what you were talking about, thank you for serving and thank you for the efforts. Before I get into that, I wanted to ask you a question. What years were you there?
It was my aunt that my aunt served. I have never served. John.
Okay.
But your aunt did. When did she
my
serve
aunt.
roughly? Okay. When did she serve roughly?
She was there. She was one of the first forces that were into Crete beginning in 2003. And when the investment came out in 2004, she was the commanding officer of the Crete that the higher-ups told her to call home and let your people know.
Gotcha.
And that's how we got in.
Did they give her some currency before she returned home, or any gold or anything like that?
Currency, yes.
Okay, because I have military friends that served there too, and their stories are always the same, that they had currency. Some of them got gold from Hussein and things like that. So I'm asking. Back to your. I just trying to tie it back to a personal source. Back to your question. Bush Jr. first announced in, I want to say, March of. I've been in it personally since 2013, so I'm not from the beginning, but I know plenty of people in our moderator chat room with Brando who have been in it since the beginning, who can touch on this. But since you're talking to me, I'll answer to the best of my ability. So Bush Jr. said in 2003 on television, he said the Iraq dinar can pay for the war. I don't know if it was 10,000 or 100,000 times over, but significant amount of times. So that was sort of the edict call for this to go off. So it's technically been viable since 2003, not 2004. The reason it started was because the U.S. has had leadership interest in Iraq for a long time. We've been really directing that country on what to do, their policies. We've been pulling the strings for a long time, similar to the way China's been pulling a lot of our strings for a long time. We've been in debt to China to the tune of how many trillions of dollars. I mean, the current estimated value of the U.S. debt is somewhere in the neighborhood, if you include the unaccountable debt in the government, it's around $40 trillion. So we have.
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
Yeah, no, that's the numbers. I've looked it up. You can reference.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to give you specifics. So anyway, so it started back in 2003, and it was really for the reason of basically resetting debt. Iraq. Are you a Christian by chance? I'm just wondering.
I am.
Okay, so this goes back to answering your question. The reason also that it is happening was really going back to biblical. If you look up various passages in the Bible, God talks about denarii as a form of currency. So this goes back to the Babylonian, Mesopotamian land of Garden Eden. You can make an argument that it goes all the way back to the beginning of biblical times. But most specifically, it goes back about 16 years. And it was started to basically reset our currency and ultimately do a reset of the global currency, because as the U.S. goes, the world goes. Bush also was responsible for a really crucial executive order, 13303, which is tied to the HCL, hydrocarbon gas law. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so he was really, a lot of people don't give him credit for a lot of things that he was instrumental in during this period. That could be arguably one of his seminal accomplishments during his time in office, is that 13303 HCL law allowed us to be involved in this entire process. So that's ultimately, from a technical standpoint, where the genesis of it started.
Okay, I agree. I agree with some of that, John. I'll take you back even before the Iraqi dinar. And technically, yes, it was viable currency in 2003, but that was pre-Saddam notes. Saddam notes have obviously, as you know, been decommissioned. They're not worth anything. So if anybody knows dinars with Saddam notes, they're not worth anything anyway.
That's just a souvenir.
So exactly. So technically, we are looking into 2004 when that was reprinted.
True.
So let me take you back, and I will tell you, and I can tell you, I'm not going to put no names on it, but my aunt is still she's retired. She is still in service of her country in the civil service section. Still in Washington, still doing a lot of stuff in Washington that obviously, and your sources can't necessarily tell you what's going on either with certain aspects. My aunt's the same way. So I'm not going to get, just like you, I'm not going to get into detail with names or I know more than you. We're not here for that. But here's what I do know. In 1988, first George Bush, there was a secret meeting with the military complex, the big banks, let's say the top 4 banks, and the Bush family, along with probably some of their friends as well, that agreed. Not the complex, the military complex, not agreed, but they all eventually came to agreement to invade Kuwait. And the purpose of invading Kuwait was to destabilize their currency, the Kuwaiti dinar, in hopes that they restabilize that country, they push the down source back north, and they all get rich after they came in and bought up exactly what they did with Iraq. They did the same exact move. It was almost to the book as the move. And that really did happen. About 6.5, almost 7 months later, after everything was kind of ironed out, Kuwait RV'd. They RV'd, I believe, at $3.60, nope, take it back, 26 cents. And they got rich, just like we're waiting to get rich too, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, somebody that didn't get rich was the military complex. The banking system through, you'd say, set up trust and paperwork, ended up double-crossing the military complex that obviously was not happy because it was a secret investment at that time. I'm willing to bet there was not too many people, unless you were a Forex trader or something like that, that even knew about the Kuwaiti dinar and the crash of the dinar for Kuwait and eventually their own RV previous to Iraq.
Okay, guys.
I definitely agree with, you got something to say, Brando?
Yeah, I do. Kyler,
I can barely hear you.
Okay, I had you right next to the mic. You guys can't see it, but the mic's right next to something else. You guys seem to be on the same page, okay? And I can't hold these guys for 2 hours on a call. So I've got to hang out with both of you. Because I've got to wrap this up for them. And I need yep. Yo.
Hey, Brando, hey, let me get 2 minutes, dude, just so I can explain the follow-up with what happened with Iraq. Can you give me 2 minutes?
Bro, I'll give you a minute.
All right.
My wife is now texting me, telling me to get my ass off the damn internet, okay?
Hey, 60 seconds, Brando.
Do you know my wife? Okay? Do you know my wife, okay? My wife is saying she's hungry.
So let's say I can imagine.
Okay. You got 60 seconds, okay, bro?
60 seconds. So let's get to Iraq. And now the second President Bush. And just like his dad, he set up the 13303, and he set up the carbon fiber, or the HCL.
Hydrocarbon lot, yeah.
Which in return was our sale at $33 or $32 a barrel back to China. And that's why he said, Iraq will pay for their own war. We plan to pay off China our earmarked money with that law. Okay? Now, so the military complex would not get double-crossed again. That's how the commanding officers in Iraq, including my aunt, was giving the intel and Iraqi dinar in her hand to come back with and spread the word. So now about 7 million people know, so the banks don't double-cross anybody. That was the point. Okay, so and history is what we're looking at now. We're still waiting 18 years later, or I'll take that back, 14 years. So I would love to talk to you guys more, Brando. I appreciate the time, John. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm in it with you. I'm invested. I've been invested, and I'm still waiting, brother.
Well, no, you bring an interesting perspective that we don't have. So thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Kyler. John,
Yes, sir.
Kyler, can you hang up, my friend? And John, can you wrap up? My wife is threatening me. I'm going to be in the doghouse for real. It looks like Daisy and her ate without me, so I'm going to be starving. So you guys, please wrap this up. I have never gone this long.
Hey, I'm hanging up right now, brother. I appreciate it. You know, I'll keep this number. I appreciate it. You guys have a good night.
Have a great night, Kyler. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Really, the only thing I have to add to what he said is the dinar was actually printed in October of 2003. The new dinar was actually printed by a company in France that we hired. So just to kind of add to what he was saying on that part, I don't know how you want me to finish, except that I would say everybody should be genuinely optimistic about this coming to a closure. And with this president being so unpredictable, because he has to be, I think we have cause to be very excited about the near future.
Okay, good.
Let's leave it at that.
You guys, Johnny, hang up, my friend. I'll call you back in about 10 minutes. We talk dinar probably, if there's 24 hours in a day, John and I talk dinar probably at least 18 of them. Our wives are going to kill us. You guys are the bomb.com. You guys know we broke the internet tonight at almost 400 persons on here. I thank every single one of you guys for staying tuned. I thank every single one of you guys for allowing us to finish. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say I'm grateful. I want to say I'm humbled. And I want to tell you guys good night. And I'll let you go with this. If you're on here, my wife's not in here so I can do it, and Dave's not in here, turn your radios down. Tonight was an epic night. We went 2 hours, okay? I am Mr. Brando. I bring you things that no one else brings you. I tell you things no one else tells you. I love you, and good night.